So I finally started the anime that everyone's been bugging me to watch, that being Hunter x Hunter. Sorry, I'm not a fucking loser. I know how to say it. I was just making a joke. Hunter Hunter. So I'll be honest, I'm not super deep into the show yet. This is kind of more of a first impressions, more of a general, how's it going, should you watch it kind of vibe. This is not the full review. Obviously, we'll get into more kind of why it's not the full review later on. I mean, it's not even finished yet, so we'll talk more about that. But like I said, this is just my first impressions. I will most likely be posting a full review later on the entirety of the show or manga or whatever. But this is just kind of a general, how's it going with the show. So I'm first gonna start off explaining kind of why I've been avoiding Hunter for so long. The reason why I haven't really been into watching it or wanting to watch it either is the same reason why kind of everyone's frustrated with Hunter a little bit, the lack of content coming out. So the anime was stopped a long time ago, but the manga that the anime was using as its source material, obviously, has had a new chapter since 2018. In fact, there's so much discourse over the lack of content for this series that there's a legit website, the hiatus website, where you can look at the lack of chapters coming out. It breaks it down in a full calendar view, and you can see when and when not chapters are released. So that's kind of my biggest issue with the series, is it's still ongoing, has no ending, and also doesn't really have an ending in sight either. And it also doesn't seem like it's ending anytime soon, so it's this weird bag of I can get into it, but I don't even know when I'm gonna be able to finish it. Also, if I'm looking at my phone, just know I keep all my notes for my videos on my phone, so that's what I'm reading off of here as far as like how I feel about it and what I wrote down while I was watching it. Now, it's not like One Piece, where One Piece has consistent drops of content and then the world is just so massive that it's worth all this amount of content because we want to explore the entire world and all these different characters, right? It's kind of like that in the sense that there is a huge world within Hunter and there's a lot of characters and backstory to be done within Hunter. It's just there's no content coming out for any of that, so it's kind of a dry standstill right now. And the main issue is that the creator of Hunter can't put anything out just due to health reasons. Now, obviously, I'm not going to shame the creator of Hunter or anything gross like that, and I hope none of you guys do that either. It's just kind of, it's bad taste. It's not a good look to shame someone for health reasons, so I don't think anyone should do that, and I'm not blaming him at all for his health reasons for doing that, the underlying reason as to why there's not a lot of content coming out. And I'm totally on the vibe of making sure you're good before making sure everyone else is good. You can't provide happiness or things in other people's life unless you are good first. So I do get it. It just sucks that in this case, everyone isn't just a few people or 10 or 100 or 1,000. It's most likely hundreds of thousands of fans that are looking for content in the future. So I don't blame the creator. It's just obviously extremely unfortunate and very sad that they're going through such insane health issues that are kind of pushing off their main project for so long. And with that, I am hoping that the creator has been good and has been, taking time to rest, because that takes us into our next point. The reason I have finally chosen to get into Hunter is pretty simple. The creator and publisher and even the anime voice actors have all announced that both the anime and manga are making a full comeback. So that for me is the sole reason for getting into Hunter. There was really no other reason that was stopping me from getting into it other than the lack of no end in sight and also just lack of content coming out. And the creator and all these people announcing a comeback is huge because the creator has come back multiple different times and has kind of dropped chapters and sprinkled them a few years and stuff like that. But there's always a question of how many breaks are we going to go with no chapters? There was never really a consistent release schedule. So I'm hoping that this actual communication from him, his team, everyone, gives us a little bit more stability and concrete evidence as far as how much content we can assume to be coming and how often we can assume it's going to be coming as well. It's just all really exciting because now I can finally dive into Hunter without the fear of going years without no chapters or any sort of releases at all. And I can finally experience this amazing story that people have been talking so much about. And speaking of the story, how is Hunter so far for me? So far, I actually really like it. The art style is really fun. It's a little bit more colorful than I imagined. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just got the wrong idea of what the story was and everything, but it's a little bit more lively than I thought it was going to be. I think the story concept of Gon just trying to find his dad is really, really dope. It's simple, but yet it's really fun, and it has a lot of open-endedness for extra stuff to jump in and happen, so I think that's pretty cool. I don't know why. Maybe just when people talk about the show, I expected the plot line to be super convoluted and complex and it's all this crazy shit happening, so I am thankful it's not that, or at least not that yet. But I've enjoyed pretty much everything I've seen so far. I'm super interested to see more of the Phantom Troop, see more of Hisoka. I think those are two of the most big question marks for me as far as how I'm gonna feel about the show, is the Phantom Troop and Hisoka as a villain. My first anime was Naruto, so I kind of have a lot of feelings for that show. And I will say for me, it's really hard to pick a iconic anime villain team that's not the Akatsuki. And I hear so many people say that the Phantom Troop is better than the Akatsuki, so for me that's insane because I already think the Akatsuki is kind of high tier up there as far as villainous anime group goes. But if everyone's saying, well, not everyone, but the people I've heard talk about it, obviously, if they're saying that the Phantom Troop is better, then they must be pretty fucking sick because I don't think they got cool ass outfits like these, but if they're cool, then they're cool. So I'm hoping that there's some hype to the Phantom Troop that lives up to it. Overall, the Hunter story seems super fun and exciting, and it's a huge world that I'm super hyped to dive into, and it's been a way smoother introduction than I initially anticipated, which is great. Now, I am watching the anime and not reading the manga, so before you get your weeb panties in a twist and run to the comments saying, "Oh,
You aren't even reading the manga, so you're not even getting the real story. You're such a fake fan.
I'm choosing to personally watch the anime. I know most people will prefer and say the manga's better, and I know if I want to consistently watch the show and keep up with releases, I will have to switch over to the manga eventually. But me starting the anime is just a personal choice, so if you don't like that, that's fine. I'm still experiencing the story in a pretty, true to the source material way. At least I've heard the anime adaptation's at least fairly good. It's not horrible. It's not something that, destroys the manga or the source material. So leave your thoughts on that below. But like I said, if it's just some negative shit, I'm just gonna delete it or block it. There's really no point in being negative here. If you've experienced both the anime and the manga, what's your feelings on both? Obviously, I know manga is gonna have more of a steady release schedule, but I think the anime has some charm to it from what I've seen so far, and I do end up liking that just a little bit more than the manga, because I think some of the voice acting in the anime, both dub and sub, actually is really, really good. So now that I've started the series, what's my general hopes for it moving forward? Well, honestly, I just hope it continues to be really, really good. I'm sure it will, because I've heard just so much praise and hype on this series. I've also heard so many people that just gets better and better. I have seen some things that it should have ended at a certain arc or a specific section in the story and then continued forward past that and just explored the world even further. I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing or a bad thing, especially because more content, like we've seen with stuff like One Piece, doesn't necessarily mean just more trash content. It can usually mean more world, more character development, stuff like that. Also, one of my biggest hopes is just making sure that the creator comes back in a healthy and fruitful way, and that chapters and episodes end up dropping regularly, as opposed to yearly or monthly or whatever the release schedule basically never was. Also, something that I think is just important to note is that the anime community, I think now, is a lot more toxic than it was when Hunter was being released consistently. So I'm hoping the community welcomes the creator back with open arms. And while I think we should be critical of the work that's being put out, especially by Jump, I do think it's important to give the creator at least some time to get everything set up and chapters and episodes released, that way we can make a full opinion later on. So I'm gonna keep my expectations average, honestly, for moving forward here. If the anime and manga is just as good as it is now, at least where I'm at, that's fine with me. Have you guys read Hunter? Have you watched Hunter? Which one do you prefer, manga or anime? Let me know. Appreciate you guys watching, and have a good one.